Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're diving into the world of AI and law.
Ooh, that's a hot topic these days.
It is. And, it's interesting because we've got this legal comment that someone sent to us
Okay.
called AI and the Legal Puzzle, filling gaps but missing pieces from the Mercer Law Review.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah, and it's really fascinating because it kind of paints this picture of a future where, you've got algorithms drafting contracts,
Right.
maybe even robots arguing cases in court.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to unpack all that.
Sounds good.
We're going to see just how close that future might be
Okay.
and what it could mean for you,
Yeah.
if you ever need legal help.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people are wondering, is this going to put lawyers out of business or what?
Right. Is it going to make things cheaper? Is it going to make things more expensive? Who knows?
Well, and AI has been around for a while. It's not a brand new thing.
It's true.
We have, going all the way back to ancient Greece, they had automatons, these machines that would like pour wine and stuff.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So the concept has been around for a long time,
Yeah.
and it's always fascinated us.
Right. Like the idea that we could create something that thinks like us.
Exactly. And in, more recent times, we've had things like the Turing test,
Right.
which was a test to see if a computer could fool a human into thinking it was another human.
Right. And that was back in like the 50s, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And then the development of LISP, which was like the first AI programming language.
Okay.
And then, of course, chess-playing computers that could beat world champions.
Yeah. Deep Blue beat Kasparov.
Exactly.
Back in the day, that was a big deal.
It was huge.
Yeah.
But I think what's really shaking things up in the legal field right now is this explosion of AI, particularly in natural language processing.
Okay.
We're talking about things like GPT-3.
Right. Which can write like Shakespeare.
Pretty much. Yeah, it can generate human quality text, which is kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah. So it's not just like, doing calculations or playing chess anymore.
Right. It's understanding and using language.
So how is that actually being used in legal practice? I mean, are we talking about robots replacing judges yet, or?
Not quite yet. I think that's still a ways off.
Okay.
But we're seeing AI tools being used behind the scenes to make things more efficient.
Okay.
For example, there are platforms like CoCounsel that can help lawyers draft contracts
Okay.
and research memos.
Research memos. So that's like.
That's like the background research they do for a case.
Got it.
Finding relevant case law and precedents and stuff.
Okay.
So CoCounsel can do a lot of that heavy lifting.
So it saves the lawyer's time.
Exactly. And potentially saves the client's money, too.
Right. Because lawyers are expensive.
They are.
And their time is money.
Exactly.
So if this AI can do some of that work.
It could make things more affordable.
That's interesting.
And then there's Vincent, which is an AI research assistant.
Oh, I read about that one.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It analyzes legal documents and finds relevant case law.
So like instead of a team of paralegals spending hours and hours.
Exactly. Vincent can do it much faster.
And is it as good as a human?
Well, it's not just about speed.
Yeah.
Vincent can actually identify connections and legal arguments that a human researcher might miss.
Oh, wow.
It can see patterns and make connections that we might overlook.
That's pretty impressive.
So it's not just about replacing humans, it's about augmenting our abilities.
I see. So it's like having a super-powered research assistant.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
And then there are even more specific AI tools like Hello Prenup.
Hello Prenup. That's the one that generates prenuptial agreements, right?
That's right.
That seems pretty niche.
It is, but it shows how AI is finding its way into all sorts of specific areas of law. So instead of paying a lawyer to draft a prenup from scratch, a couple could use Hello Prenup to get things started.
Interesting. So it's like a starting point.
Exactly. And it could save them time and money.
I can see that.
And then there are AI tools for even more routine tasks,
Okay.
like contract review and grammar correction.
Right. Like Grammarly.
Exactly. Grammarly is a good example.
Yeah. I use that all the time.
And there are similar tools specifically for legal documents like LogX.
Okay.
So these tools are helping lawyers improve accuracy and professionalism.
So even in the everyday tasks.
Exactly. AI is making a difference.
So it sounds like AI is already doing a lot to support lawyers.
It is.
But the big question is, can AI actually replace lawyers entirely?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And there's a lot of debate about that in the legal field.
Right, because some people say, well, law is so nuanced and there's so much human judgment involved that
Exactly.
an AI could never do it.
And there's definitely some truth to that.
Yeah.
But then there are others who say that AI can handle a lot of the routine tasks.
Right, like the things we were just talking about.
Exactly. And if that's the case, then it could dramatically change the legal profession.
So is there like a clear consensus on this, or is it still kind of up in the air?
It's still pretty much up in the air, but the source material we're looking at today,
Right.
it actually digs into both sides of the argument.
Okay, so it presents both the skeptic's view
Right. The people who think human judgment is irreplaceable.
and then the people who think AI could take over.
Exactly.
Okay, well, that's good. At least it's a balanced perspective.
It is. And, it's interesting to think about
Yeah.
because, Goldman Sachs, they predicted that 44% of legal tasks could be automated.
44%.
That's almost half.
That's a huge chunk of work.
It is.
So if that happens,
Yeah.
I mean, what does that mean for people going into law
Right.
or people who need legal help?
Right. Are we all going to be represented by robots?
Yeah. Will it make things cheaper? Will it make things more expensive?
Right. What kind of legal work can never be done by a machine?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's a lot to think about.
It is.
But I think it's important to start thinking about these questions now.
Right before it's too late.
Exactly, because AI is evolving rapidly and the legal profession needs to adapt.
Yeah. So let's dive into some specific scenarios
Okay.
and see where the line between human and machine might lie.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so thinking about that Goldman Sachs prediction.
The 44%.
Yeah, 44% of legal tasks could be automated.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of those tasks would be, the kind of routine things,
Right. Document review research.
drafting basic contracts.
Exactly. Things that can be pretty easily codified.
Right. But what about when things get more complicated?
That's where things get interesting.
Yeah, like what if there are emotional elements involved?
Right.
Or like gray areas in the law where there isn't like a clear-cut answer.
Think about family law cases, for example.
Okay.
Those often involve, complex emotions,
Right.
difficult personal dynamics, and
Right.
a real need for empathy and understanding.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine an AI navigating those nuances effectively.
Yeah, like could an AI really understand the emotional toll of a divorce? Or, the best interests of a child in a custody dispute?
Exactly. Those seem like uniquely human considerations.
Yeah, they do.
And the source article actually touches on that.
Okay.
It highlights the importance of human judgment in areas where the law intersects with, deeply personal matters.
Right, because it's not just about applying the rules.
It's about understanding the human context,
Exactly.
the emotional complexities.
Right, and I guess even in more, straightforward legal situations,
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't you still want a human lawyer to be like the ultimate decision maker?
Oh, absolutely.
Like someone to oversee the AI's work
Right.
and make sure things are being done correctly.
Yeah, that's where the idea of lawyers becoming more like legal strategists comes in.
Okay.
They would leverage AI to handle the routine tasks,
Right.
but they would still be responsible for overseeing the process,
Mhm.
making strategic decisions,
Okay.
and ensuring their clients' best interests are protected.
So instead of being replaced, lawyers' roles might evolve. They become more focused on the big picture,
Right.
the strategy,
Mm-hmm.
and the human aspects of the case.
Exactly. And that could potentially free them up
Okay.
to focus on more complex and challenging legal work.
Right. The kind that really requires, human ingenuity
Exactly.
and expertise.
Yeah. The stuff that AI just can't do yet.
Okay, so that's like the potential upside.
Yeah.
But the article also raises some concerns about AI in law, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like the issue of confidentiality.
Right.
How can we be sure that sensitive client information is protected when AI is involved?
That's a huge question.
Yeah.
And it's one that, legal AI developers are grappling with.
Right, because you're essentially entrusting an algorithm
Yeah.
with confidential information.
Exactly.
And that raises all sorts of concerns about data security
Mm-hmm.
and privacy.
Absolutely.
It would make me nervous as a client.
I can understand that.
Like, how do I know where my information is going, who has access to it,
Mm-hmm.
how it's being used?
Those are all valid concerns.
Yeah.
And the article mentions that some lawyers are hesitant to use AI for this very reason.
Really?
They're worried about potentially violating attorney-client privilege.
Oh, right. Which is like a cornerstone of our legal system.
Exactly. It's essential for maintaining trust between lawyers and clients.
Yeah.
So it's a serious issue.
It seems like lawyers who use AI have a big responsibility
They do.
to make sure that client confidentiality is protected.
Absolutely.
Are there like any rules or guidelines in place to address this?
Well, the American Bar Association
Okay.
has issued some opinions on the ethical implications of using AI in legal practice.
Okay. And what do they say?
They basically emphasize that lawyers must still comply with their professional obligations,
Okay.
including protecting client confidentiality,
Even when using AI.
even when using AI.
So lawyers can't just hide behind the AI and say, oh, the algorithm did it,
Right, they're still ultimately responsible.
for safeguarding their client's information.
Exactly, and they need to be transparent with their clients
Okay.
about how AI is being used in their case and what steps are being taken to protect their privacy.
So transparency is key.
It is.
And it brings up another concern that the article mentions.
Yeah.
The idea of competence.
Right.
Just because an AI can generate a legal document
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's accurate
Right.
or legally sound.
Exactly. There's a risk that lawyers might become overly reliant on AI
Okay.
and just accept its output without carefully reviewing it
Oh, I see.
and understanding it.
Yeah.
And that raises questions about whether they're truly providing competent representation.
Right, because the model rules of professional conduct,
Exactly.
they state that lawyers have a duty to provide competent representation.
Right. Which means staying up to date on the law and on technology.
Exactly.
Lawyers can't just plead ignorance about how AI works.
Yeah.
They need to understand its limitations,
Right.
be able to critically evaluate its output,
Okay.
and use their own judgment to ensure they're meeting their ethical obligations.
So it's like AI can be a powerful tool,
It is.
but it's still just a tool.
Right.
The lawyer is the one who needs to wield it responsibly
Exact.
and ethically.
That's a great way to put it.
And it leads to another concern that the article raises,
What's that?
the black box problem. Even though AI can learn and adapt, its decision-making process is often opaque.
Right. We don't always know how it arrived at a particular conclusion.
So we might not always understand how the AI reached a particular conclusion.
Exactly.
That seems a bit risky,
It can be.
especially in legal matters where the stakes can be high.
Absolutely. It raises questions about accountability.
Okay.
Like, if something goes wrong,
Yeah.
how can you trace back the error
Right.
and determine who's responsible?
Yeah. Is it the lawyer? Is it the AI developer?
Both.
Maybe both.
It seems like a recipe for legal headaches down the line.
Yeah. Especially if the AI's reasoning can't be easily explained.
Or understood.
Right.
Yeah. It highlights the need for transparency
Okay.
and explainability in AI systems.
Especially those being used in sensitive fields like law.
Exactly.
So even though AI has the potential to make the legal system, more efficient,
Yeah.
more accessible, there are some serious ethical
Right.
and practical challenges that
Absolutely.
need to be addressed.
And as AI continues to evolve,
Yeah.
so too will these challenges. It's a constant balancing act between harnessing the power of technology
Yeah.
and upholding the core principles of the legal profession.
This deep dive is making me realize just how complex this issue really is.
It is complex.
There's a lot to consider, both in terms of the benefits and the risks.
Absolutely.
It's not an easy answer.
No, it's not.
But it's also incredibly fascinating
It is.
to think about how AI might reshape the legal landscape in the years to come.
Yeah, it's a really exciting time to be following this field.
It is. Speaking of reshaping the landscape,
Yeah.
the article also talks about the potential impact of AI on the legal profession itself.
Right, how it might change the way lawyers work.
Exactly. Let's delve into that a bit more.
Yeah.
So we talked about AI changing how lawyers work, but what about law firms themselves?
Yeah, the whole structure.
Will we see big changes there?
It's definitely possible.
Okay.
The source material suggests that, as AI takes on more routine tasks, we might see a shift in that traditional law firm model.
So what do you mean by a shift?
Well, for one thing,
Okay.
potentially fewer lawyers overall.
Fewer lawyers.
Yeah, think about it.
Okay.
If AI can automate a lot of the work
Yeah.
that's currently done by paralegals and junior associates,
Right.
there might be less demand for those roles.
Oh, that's a little concerning.
Yeah, for people entering the legal field.
Right.
But it could also create new opportunities.
Okay. So what kind of opportunities?
Well, for example, there will likely be a need for more AI specialists.
Well, then law firms.
Exactly. Someone has to develop, manage, and maintain these AI systems.
Right, of course.
So while some traditional legal roles might decline, new ones focused on AI expertise could emerge.
That's interesting.
It is.
So instead of just lawyers and paralegals,
Right.
you might have teams of lawyers, AI specialists, data scientists, all working together.
Yeah, that's a whole new dynamic.
It is, and it kind of highlights how important adaptability and continuous learning are going to be
Oh, absolutely.
in the legal profession.
Lawyers who are comfortable working with AI and incorporating it into their practice,
Yeah.
they're going to have a significant advantage.
Yeah, because it's not just about knowing the law anymore.
Right.
It's about knowing how to use technology to practice law more effectively.
Exactly. It's a whole new skill set.
It is. And it's not just about lawyers benefiting either.
That's right.
The source material also suggests that...
AI could lead to significant cost savings for clients.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Sure.
Because legal services can be notoriously expensive.
Oh, they are.
So how could AI help make them more affordable?
Well, think about it.
Okay.
If AI can automate a lot of those routine tasks, it could dramatically reduce the number of billable hours
that lawyers need to charge.
Exactly.
Okay.
Imagine instead of paying a lawyer to spend hours reviewing documents,
right,
you could have an AI do it in a fraction of the time.
So you're saying AI could lead to lower fees?
Potentially, yes.
And faster turnaround times?
That's the idea.
That sounds pretty appealing.
I think so.
To anyone who's ever had to deal with legal issues?
Especially if you're on a tight budget.
Right.
Or you need a quick resolution.
Yeah, and it could also lead to more predictable pricing models, right?
It's another possibility.
Instead of hourly rates.
Yeah, which can be unpredictable.
Very.
We might see more fixed fee arrangements.
For certain legal services.
Exactly.
That would be a big change.
It would.
Potentially a good one.
For clients, definitely.
Yeah, it would make legal services more transparent, more accessible.
And potentially more affordable.
Exactly.
The source material even suggests that AI could help level the playing field.
Okay.
Making legal representation more affordable for individuals and small businesses.
Who might not have been able to afford it otherwise.
Exactly.
That would be huge.
It would be a big step towards greater access to justice.
It's exciting to think about the potential positive impact
it is
AI could have on the legal system as a whole.
It's a really interesting time to be watching this all unfold.
It is. But it's important to remember that this is still an evolving field.
Oh, absolutely.
There will likely be challenges and unforeseen consequences along the way.
Right, like we talked about earlier, those concerns about confidentiality, competence, the black box problem.
Right, it's not all sunshine and roses.
It's not.
But overall, the source material paints a fairly optimistic picture.
It does.
Of the future of AI in law.
It sees it as a tool that can enhance the legal profession, make it more efficient, and potentially even more
I have to say, this deep dive has been eye-opening for me.
Yeah. It's a fascinating topic.
It's made me realize that the intersection of AI and law is far more complex.
It is.
And fascinating than I ever imagined.
It's a real deep dive.
It is. We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From the specific AI tools being used in legal practice.
Right.
To the potential impact on the legal profession and the clients it serves.
We've talked about the potential benefits of AI, efficiency, affordability, access to justice.
But we've also acknowledged the ethical and practical challenges.
Right. Those are important to consider as well.
They are, as we wrap up this deep dive.
Okay.
I think the biggest takeaway for me is that AI is already changing the legal landscape.
It is.
And it's only going to become more influential in the years to come.
It's a powerful force with the potential to reshape the legal world as we know it.
Whether that reshaping leads to positive or negative outcomes remains to be seen.
That's the big question.
But one thing is for sure, the conversation has only just begun.
We're just at the beginning of this AI revolution.
So listeners, we encourage you to continue exploring this topic.
Stay informed.
Stay informed about the latest developments.
And think about how AI might impact your own interactions with the legal system.
Because this isn't just about lawyers and algorithms.
Right.
It's about the future of justice itself.
It's a big deal, and we all have a role to play in shaping that future.
That's a great point. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, keep those questions coming, and we'll keep diving deep.